Are we okay? We got to fucking... We've got to do the fucking shit that we need for fucking drug abuse. No! Are you listening? Oh, you're gonna like this. You're really gonna fucking like this.
Let's see if I can get through this one. Sean from Middle Grounded. We're going to talk about the only ways that Lorne learns. Lorne Armstrong is lazy, he's bipolar 2, and he's a know-it-all. Now, someone who's bipolar, they have a tendency to push things so far that the only way they can course correct is if they're given an ultimatum. They walk right up to the edge, and they're said, "You're on the verge," and they say, if you take one more step, you're going to fall off that cliff, and you're going to crash and burn, and we can't save you. So there's a guy at work, disregarded everything, had 3 devices open, all on Facebook, was told if he was on Facebook again, his contract was terminated. Now for 2 months, he was the model employee. But let me go back, because a week after he got in trouble, he brought in a small Kindle, created 2 new Facebook accounts, secret ones, so that he could sit there and hide the fact that he was on Facebook. Other than that, he was the model employee, actually dressed halfway decent, where his clothes weren't all wrinkled and his boots weren't muddy. He gets away with a lot. And again, he's bipolar, maybe even worse. He's the guy who watches the cameras, who flies off the handle. His kid came in one day with a black eye and tried to tell us what happened, and he interrupted and said he fell off the bed. Well, the kid told us later that he was thrown in a, aggressive way and bounced and hit the wall. Of course, we were told he was playing. Anyway, this is the type of guy that he is. And why do I say that? Because Lorne would be the same way. He couldn't handle his son stepping out of line. He couldn't. But we're talking about punishment. His wife would have to threaten to leave him if he didn't stop his aggression. Lorne would stop for a little bit, and then, and I hate to say this, his abuse towards, if it was the children, would turn strictly towards her. That's the way it works sometimes. All right, I won't beat them, I'll beat you. Another thing, Lorne got fired during the sting where he wanted to keep all of Kayla's time. He wanted to make sure she wasn't spending time with someone else. But Lorne said he quit because he was told he couldn't talk to people. Now, Lorne was probably talking a lot to women because he's desperate. He had a captive audience. But I think for the most part, they were on the phone, and you don't want to be talking while everyone else is talking to customers on the phone. Again, Lorne was probably told, stop talking or leave. And Lorne, because of Kayla, chose to leave. Let's say there wasn't a Kayla, and Lorne needed that job. He would change and say, oh, I understand, yeah, no problem, I'm going to be the best. And he wouldn't talk. He'd come sit at his desk, most probably because he was agitated that he got called out on his bullshit. Just like when he went in front of probation this last time. Lorne's drinking. We're going to back up. I'm going to talk about winning. And the only time you ever saw Lorne with her really want to make a change. And there were multiple reasons. The first one, she said, you know, nobody loves you. Nobody can. And she was giving him all the reasons she was breaking up. Now, Lorne was doing the, yeah, well, you, what about you? But when she made it real and began screaming, Lorne all of a sudden realized all of his transgressions. And he was going to change. Every time she broke up with him in the past, Lorne would say, he'd call and say, I'm so sorry for last night. I want you to know I'm never going to do that again. I'm going to be a better man. He'd get that voice of, for you, I'm going to be a better man. For you, for me, for us. And then he'd go right back to who he is. Lorne's drinking didn't help. But when she broke up with him, it became real. In high school, the reason he was handed his diploma, and I'm going to say this is why, is because every time he got a bad grade, or got in trouble, he would pull the, oh yeah, my mom is a single mom, I didn't have my dad, I'm picked on, and they finally said, here's your diploma, get out, because they were tired of hearing it. He couldn't accept the fact that he didn't work hard, because Lorne is bipolar and lazy, a deadly combination. Do the bare minimum, be a hero. He's the kind of guy that would do one positive thing and assume he's going to coast on that. But we know that's not true. I know it's hard being a single parent, Mama Gwen. I know. It's hard when you come home and you're tired and you want to make dinner and you want to get everything ready. But you have to punish one of your kids. My son is active. I have to explain to him, help him understand why he did what he did, and then move on. My son's not a bad kid, but he does make mistakes. And you have to kind of help them to learn what they did. I think Mama Gwen probably took his crying, okay, Lorne, don't do it again, and probably did that for a long time. Again, that's just my opinion. And he probably never had real consequences. I don't know that for a fact, but his behavior suggests that happened. When it came to jail, when he got busted in the sting, he was, I never meant to do it, because it worked in the past. But sorry, Lorne, police aren't going to buy that. They're not going to fall for it. But you did it anyway because you thought it would work. He believes tears are the way to get out of everything. How many times do you care about me? I just want to know. After he spent hours abusing Ramona, he was asking her if she cared about him through tears and talked about his Uncle Clay and his dad, as we've discussed in the past. Anytime there are real consequences, anytime he gets in trouble and he can't yell and scream or cry his way out of it, all of a sudden, Lorne wants to do what's right, and he knows what he's been doing is wrong. I get that it's hard to get a job right now. Lorne wants to live off unemployment and his mom and whatever else he can live off of. All of his get-rich schemes, the yard sale. He's the kind of guy that would wait until he didn't have enough money to buy beer and cigarettes, and all of a sudden he would go out and look for a job. Now, right now, trying to be a truck driver is really difficult because of gas prices. You have to get the product from point A to point B, and you have to get the product to point A so it can go to point B. And with the gas prices the way they are, the routes have been cut down, and so have the number of employees. He can blame the fact that he doesn't have a job on being an RSO, but there are plenty of jobs if he would just suck it up and go out there and get one that wasn't going to pay him a bunch of money. What does he have to spend money on anyway? I have no idea. $4,000 ring for Jamie Amy? I don't know. But getting a job where he is around children, let alone around women, because I can't imagine he gets a job, finally, in an office, and he starts talking to these women. They find out he's an RSO. They probably would have been notified right away. I can't imagine they'd want to work with him. So he can always use that on why he doesn't have a job. He's going to be lazy for a long time. He doesn't have any skills. If he was technology savvy, which he couldn't anyway unless he had access only to servers and network things so he could fix those remotely, he could work from home. He could be a call guy from home. He just doesn't want to work. At least that's what I think. So I'm going to make one more statement about him. When he went to prison, that was the best thing that happened to him. We all know this. I've talked about it before. He had food, a stable place to stay, structured environment. But I bet you in prison, they offered him opportunities and he passed them up because it was beneath him. He didn't want to do it. I mean, we're talking about Lorne here, a guy who has to be given ultimatums. The judge said, if you ever come back in front of me, I'm going to lock the door behind you and throw away the key. I think probation had a hand in that. I don't know if that came from the judge. I think probation said, look, this guy needs to be told, do your stuff, pass your rape class, stop drinking, or you're going to be tossed in jail and you're never going to get out. So he stopped drinking for now. I predict by 2023 he'll be drinking again. He'll be catfished yet again, and we'll be in the same requel cycle that I talked about last night. In my opinion, every time you deal with him, there needs to be a foot put down so hard that he has to be the model employee, and it's going to have to happen every couple of months. I don't know what his restrictions are. I mean, I do somewhat, but I don't know how often he has to visit probation. I know they're the only thing keeping him in line. Without probation, he'd still be going online. He'd still be arguing with people who don't like him. Because another thing he deals with is when he does something where people might not like him and he might be seen in a negative light, he's going to change. He tried to make that redemption channel. He tried to say that I'm sorry for stealing from Betty. I don't think she was the first one he stole from. I think she was the tip of the iceberg. She was the peak. And I think he ran because of that. He said he was the Donald Trump of Maine with his septic business, which we know is a lie. But the point I'm trying to make is that the other part that Lorne can't handle is having anything negative said about him, or for anyone to see him in a negative way, or for him to be exposed. So Lorne is going to need to stay off the internet, because he can't handle it. He'll get himself in more trouble. He'll say a bunch of stupid stuff. He'll do a bunch of stupid stuff. And in my opinion, unless the thumb is kept on top of him, he will never stay walking the path. Again, they need to stay on top of him. But that's my opinion. I love you guys. Please like, subscribe, and share. Thank you for helping me. Thank you for laughing with me. Thank you for getting angry with me. I love you guys. I'll see you in the next one.